What do you do when you feel like giving up? When you feel like life is too hard and too bleak? What do you do in the midst of trial and tragedy? Hey y'all, my name is Cheyenne, and we're going to be looking at Thornton Wilder's play, The Skin of Our Teeth. This play was written in 1942, debuted in 1943. So his audience are in the midst of World War II, the deadliest war. So what are they going to be thinking? These are two questions that's going to be on their minds. One, will the war or the world end? And if we make it through the war, if the war ends, what type of world are we going to be living in? This absurdist play, it's crazy at first when you first read it. You have all of humanity trapped in one frame. You have Adam and Eve, and you have the Ice Age. And you have all the way up to the future of what the audience at this time were not acquainted with yet. The future being that post-World War II. But scattered all through this play is tragedy after trial after calamity. We have the Ice Age, we have the flood, we have locusts, we have the war, we have infidelity, we have abuse, we have murder, we have death, we have wayward children. All throughout this. And what I love about Samuel Finch's acting edition is that he includes a blurb in the beginning by Richard Manny, and he says, "They are true offspring of Adam and Eve," meaning us, humanity, the human family. "Victims of all ills that flesh is heir to. They have survived 1,000 calamities by the skin of their teeth. We as a human race have survived all these things, even if it was just barely. Therefore, here is a tribute to their indestructibility." Humans are not fragile. We have lived through so much. But how? How, when you are like Noah and on the ark, how do you get through those rains and those floods? And then how do you build a new world afterward? We might be indestructible, but how do you get through it? This is what Thornton Wilder has to say about it. He says, "Living is a struggle. I know that every good and excellent thing in the world stands moment by moment on the razor edge of danger and must be fought for. All I ask is a chance to build a new world, and God has always given us that second chance and has given us voices to guide us and the memory of our mistakes to warn us. Maggie," which is his wife, "Maggie, you and I must remember in peacetime all those resolves that were so clear to us in days of war. Maggie, we've come a long ways. We've learned, we're learning, and the steps of our journey are marked for us here." So what is he saying about how do we get through the hardships? How do we get through them, and how do we build a new world? First, he says, we must take the second chances. We are given them and we must take them. Second, he says we have been given voices to guide us. These voices he is talking about is the wise words of wisdom from men and women of ancient time, of those before our times, people that have already suffered through hardships. They're the words of the Bible, they're the words of Shakespeare, they're the words of Aristotle, they're the words of grandparents. Okay, in the beginning of the play, we have the first biggest catastrophe that this family is facing, and that is the Ice Age. They have this iceberg coming at them, and at the brink of destruction. Antrobus, the husband, tells Maggie, "Fill the children's head with something useful." What's he saying? He's saying, and he's implying that when we're in the midst of these hardships, In order for us to not give way to despair, in order for us to know how to get through them, we must have our minds filled with words of wisdom to guide us on how to not give way to despair, on how to suffer moment by moment, make choice by choice until that calamity has passed. Okay. Third, the memory of our mistakes warn us. This is a very common adage that we are to learn from our mistakes. But what do you mean by learn? Our mistakes are to provide a warning for us so that when we see something happen again and it brings up red flags, we know that we've gone through that calamity. How are we going to avoid that? How are we going to avoid hardships that can be avoidable because we've gone through them in the past and we've learned from them? Okay. And then fourth, he says, Maggie, you and I must remember in peacetime all those resolves that were so clear to us in days of war. What he's saying here is that so many times we're in the midst of hardships and we think, I wish I could do this. I should have done this. I wish I'd known this. For now on, I'm going to do this. We make all these resolves. And yet, when we are now in the midst of peace, we forget those. We just blissfully live on our lives, living just for living's sake and not actually living and taking action. And these resolve become a spare tire, they become an afterthought instead of a leading wheel to guide our lives, to make a new world. You see, when we make a new world, we can't go back to how we lived before the hardship. We are a new person. We are becoming moment by moment better, and we are to take those resolves each and every step of the way. And then fifth, he says, we've come a long ways. We've learned and we're learning, and the steps of our journey are marked for us here. He's saying that this is a journey. Getting through something hard is not the end product, is not the end goal. The goal, rather, is the journey itself. It's going through calamity and making a new world, going through another calamity, making a new world. It is this cycle over and over and over again with which we live. It is the journey, it is the process that creates us, that forms better lives. But what's even more important, he says, and kind of echoes his first point about second chances, is a promise. Towards the middle of the play, Maggie is talking to Antrobus, and she says, I didn't marry you because you were perfect, George. I didn't even marry you because I loved you. I married you because you gave me a promise. That promise made up for your faults, and the promise I gave you made up for mine. Two imperfect people got married, and it was the promise that made the marriage. And when our children were growing, it wasn't a house that protected them, and it wasn't our love that protected them. It was that promise. What is that promise? That promise is God's promise. That promise is second chances. That promise is that we can build and create new life, a new way of living, a better way of living after each and every hardship, after each and every fault, after each and every tragedy, after each and every mistake. Antrobus says, the most important thing of all is the desire to begin again, to start building. It's to take that promise, have hope in that promise, and make it a reality. So what does that mean for the audience of his time, for the ones that were in the middle of the deadliest war, who knew not if the war would end or if the world would end? It meant when they left this play that the war was going to end. And not only would the world war end, but you are going to come out conqueror. Even if it was by the skin of your teeth, you are going to survive this war. And you are going to make a new world, a better world. We have second chances. The world isn't going to be marred by its past experiences. It's going to be flourishing with new opportunities because of its past experiences. Now, what does that mean for our time? We are so full of destruction and calamity and hardships across the world, in a nation, in a community, in a family, in oneself. This means that when you're in the midst of, say, Noah's flood, when you're in the midst of that hardship, you are not indestructible. You are not fragile. You will make it through it. But you also won't be stuck in there. There will be a time, there will come an opportunity, there will come a second chance for you to build a new world, a new you. That is the promise of second chances. That's the promise of God. What a powerful, powerful play with powerful teachings that is still so applicable to us in today's society. That finishes up my thoughts on Thornton Wilder's The Skin of Our Teeth. I hope you found this just as enjoyable and powerful as I did. And if you did, please hit the like button and stay cultivated.